Alright guys, Tetchgrubber here today, finally back with a much overdue trim, and as you can tell by the background, I'm recording this the night before the day that I usually would, because once again, just like last week I had a law presentation, tomorrow I have a presentation for another thing, so I didn't really want to record it on the morning of. So this is the night before. Hopefully some crazy news and rumours haven't come out the night after I'm making this. If they have, I will cover them as soon as possible. Today I wanted to go to a question which was kind of burning on me. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm sure it's an interesting one for you guys as well. And of course, as I'm sure you will, you'll leave all your thoughts down in the comment section below on this question of how impactful are coaches in competitive Call of Duty at the current time. It was kind of playing on my mind, especially with this weekend's World Gaming Network event that the Year team ended up winning. I covered that yesterday. If you guys want to go check that video out, I'll leave it down in the description box below. So yeah, with all that new stuff out the way, let's have a look through a quick bit of rumours that just was mentioned on Twitter here. So Zuma says, yeah, this guy is too crazy talented. That's Phantoms the God, who was, their main ICR on some maps, sometimes like a Maddox or whatever on other maps, on the FaZe Clan Black team, which ended up losing in the finals to this Year squad. Looney suggests, why don't you pick him up? And then Zuma says, maybe we are. And then Looney says, if you were, why would you tell other people to scoop him up? Zuma says, if the roles don't work and we don't get him, he deserves other options. He really is a great player. Now, I'm not really talking too much about Phantoms here. I'm talking more about this rumor about Zuma and the supposed Zuma Scraps Zero Celium now +1 squad, which is, potentially coming to fruition. Maybe it already has by the time this video is going live. Hopefully not. But yes, this kind of implies that Zuma definitely has a team together. He wouldn't be speaking like this if he wasn't really confident that he's going to be back in the Pro League, I feel, which does relatively heavily imply, I think, that FaZe Clan are going to be buying out this spot from the Red Reserve guys, as it seems at the current time. So with that out of the way, let's get into this stuff on coaches. So I did talk about this briefly yesterday, but Brian Saint here says, time for the next chapter. RCT's replies with this screenshot, this little gif of it turning midnight, and then Saint replies with this song, Midnight, heavily implying that he may well be the coach for this midnight roster. So let's have a look at the current rosters in the Pro League and the associated coaches. So here we have it. As of right now, the only team without a coach is this Midnight Esports lineup, which may well get Brian Saint because he was replaced with Facento on the E United lineup, which I covered a couple of days ago here. So yeah, Optic Gaming, they've had TP since the beginning of the World War II season, I'm pretty sure. E United have had Brian Saints, it's not long after that now they've got Vicento. Splice have Marky B, they got him towards the latter half of the World War II season. Ricky with Luminosity has been there a fair bit as well. Cinder on Enigma 6, Shane on Reciprocity, Bevels on Team Envy, which we'll talk more about in a second, Legend on Heretics, Panda is not the, I got confused for a second, he's the substitute, but supposedly Brian Saint coming in for that team as the coach. Crowder, of course, formerly replays on 100 Thieves. You have this guy called Vandy, Riven on Evil Geniuses, Ricky Atura on Accelerate, Nubsy, Joey Nubsy on Gen G, Dominate on Red Reserve, and BL Fire on Denial, which is something I almost forgot about. That's a pretty cool name. So before we get into this, I wanted to show you a couple of clips from back in the day, what coaches used to be like, what they used to do, some of the clips from Mr. X, a clip from Hilton as well, and I showed these clips a couple of months ago in a video I did where the coaches should be allowed to return onto the main stage, but I showed these clips then, so if you guys have been around a while, you'll probably recognize them, but they're timeless basically, so have a enjoy these.
My fault, bro. I don't know how to do code. We ain't on that coke shit, you know what I'm saying? We ain't storing that white shit like you. You know what I'm saying?
Tell him now I'm here. This is my building. Let him know. I am Hilton, and this is my building. And this is my city. You're welcome in my city. It's still mine.
Get a kill! It was Neslo last time! That's why you got dropped! That's why you got dropped! That's why you got dropped! Wait, go. Let's go. Let's go. That's why he's on our team. Let's go, David. You can't snipe like that, Clay! You can never snipe like that, Clay! That was easy, Clay! Easy! That was easy, Clay!
So the reason why this really came to mind was because Revan was a guy that when he came off the analyst desk, I'm not sure exactly how it worked out, whether MLG decided not to offer him a contract or whether he thought that he would be doing better as a coach in terms of the financial side of things, and that's a direction he wanted to explore. Not exactly sure how that turned out, but a lot of people were expecting him to make a big difference in this Evil Geniuses squad, and they looked relatively good towards the start of the season. I think we even had them like top 6 or top 8 or something on our power rankings going into the Pro League, which was quickly proven incorrect, of course. But it's interesting because this team has a lot of talented players on it, and Revan doesn't seem to, on the surface, have made a whole load of difference. Now, it's quite easy to say that, yeah, well, some coaches are better than other coaches. Maybe Revan isn't the best coach, but at the same time, you can definitely say that some players are more uncoachable, as it were, than others. People don't necessarily listen, even if, they really have to respect your opinion and advice in order to implement it, and maybe they're the type of people that don't take it on board too much. These sort of ideas are definitely possible. Someone like Revan, I'm sure he is respected a lot, but you can tell that it can be an issue with people coming into squads that maybe they aren't familiar with, maybe they don't particularly have much experience in that vicinity, and yeah, it's difficult to take their respect for granted. A guy like Joey Nubbs, he seemed to have done a fantastic job over at Gen G. I don't know if you remember the picture of when he was showing it looked like a menu effectively to Parasite at the Pro League qualifier when he was coaching that team, because he had all the strats laid out and what the other teams do. So I thought I'd pose this question to you guys. How much impact do these coaches actually make on a squad? Does it depend on the ability of the coach? Does it depend on how coachable the team is? Or is there some element in Call of Duty which makes it difficult to be a very successful coach? We've seen a couple of examples of when a coach has obviously made a big difference to a team, I think, and we'll go through those now. So of course, firstly, on the opposite end of things, I guess we can talk about TP, because this guy has been around a long time, a very, revered Call of Duty player over his career. He joins the Optic Gaming squad at the start of the World War II season, having just won the Call of Duty World Championship, and, they have a horrible season. They make one grand final at the Stage 1 playoffs. Now, is that enough to say that TP's a bad coach? Definitely not. There's definitely internal turmoil within the team that went on when they ended up splitting up after, I think, Seattle, when they placed top 16 or something like that. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's not enough to say that TP was a bad coach, but it's definitely, there's not great evidence there that he's an extra special coach, even though, yeah, he looks through all the VODs, he seems to be a very calming voice and everything. So yeah, without TP, would they be significantly worse? It's difficult to say. Let's have a look at some of the more success stories that, of course, Bevels from the World War II champs roster. This is really the key one that I remember, because Bevels had done a lot of work clearly in their search and destroy strats for this event. Now, one thing that maybe is different with Black Ops 4 than World War II is that in World War II, S&D strats meant a lot more than in this game, because there actually was set strats you could do, and Search and Destroy was played kind of traditionally. In this game, it's a little bit different. I don't think it's overwhelmingly bad in Black Ops 4, but with the instigation of the specialist, there does tend to be a trend towards just rushing one side, rushing the other side. Not quite as bad as Infinite Warfare, but there's not as many strats you can pull out. So maybe that's why we're seeing coaches having, on the surface, slightly less impact in this game, because typically Search and Destroy is the game where you feel like coaches are going to make the biggest impact, because they can develop strategies that you can execute within the game, and they can work with the team to provide that. Not too much, I guess, they can do in the hardpoint side of things, because most of these coaches, having not played the game at the current time, the players on the teams have probably got a lot better understanding of how the game should be played in the respawns than the coaches do, for example, having much more experience playing it. So the coach's role, I guess, tends to be consigned, and I think Bevels was talking about this, tends to be consigned to the search and destroy strategies and also looking at what the opponents are doing. So at World War II champs, Bevels had clearly put a lot of effort into their S&D strats, especially on Ardennes Forest. He made a great video at the end of the World War II season talking about the strategies that they employed against Optic Gaming when they played them in the Ardennes Forest Map 2 Search and Destroy, where they had to 3-0 Optic to progress through the tournament, and honestly a remarkable story. And yeah, so they have to 3-0 Optic, they managed to do it off the back of this S&D win, and largely it was because Bevels had looked in depth at how Optic play. They relied on Octane to get an opening pick with a sniper rifle. They had some very nice smoke strats, which of course we don't have the luxury of, unfortunately, in Black Ops 4 here. But that was an obvious case, I thought, where a coach had clearly made a difference to the performance of a squad, at least in the Search and Destroys. You could probably argue something similar for Ricky on this Luminosity Gaming squad, considering, yeah, these guys had not been great at the start of the season, and all of a sudden they managed to turn it around here, and Ricky is potentially the catalyst behind that. He was coaching these guys a while ago, and of course now they win the CWL Fort Worth event. Marky B also, you could say, has had some significant impact after they completely switched around this roster on the Spy squad. Seems like they're having pretty damn good results. Of course, they come second at both the Vegas event and the, well, unfortunately for them, at CWL Fort Worth as well. So unfortunate turn of events, but you could definitely argue that he is having some impact in that regard. However, other coaches, you can't necessarily say the same thing. Crowder on 100 Thieves, you can definitely make a good argument for him changing that team around. I think I would tend to make that argument. You could also argue that it was Priester joining the team that changed the chemistry and Ferro was gone. It's very difficult to say. As I say, with the Bevel situation, it seems pretty obvious that the Search and Destroy strats he was providing at the end of World War II were very crucial. Whether that's still the case in the Black Ops 4 season is difficult to say. So, a guy like Revan, for example, he's a person, and the same with Facento, I guess, on this E-United squad. They have not had good results on Evil Geniuses with Revan as coach. As I say, same with situation with TP, and if you want to look through TP's bio here on the COD Gamepedia, you can do to read through something while I'm having a chat. A couple of the words may be cut off, but hopefully it is still readable. So yeah, similar situation with TP, I think, and Revan. They have not had great results. Of course, now TP goes on and wins a tournament with Opta Gaming at the start of the Black Ops 4 season. They've made a roster change. So to what degree is that because of TP? To what degree is it because of the roster change? After the World War II season, you'd have to say almost entirely because of the roster change. Does it mean that Revan on Evil Geniuses, having had lackluster results, is a bad coach? It's difficult to say. I mean, it's very tough to say that he is because we don't have too much evidence either way. So yeah, I find it intriguing. I'd be intrigued to see what the players say. I know a lot of the players say that they add a lot in terms of XYZ, but I think it really does depend to some degree on the players, how coachable the players are, I guess. In CSGO, of course, when the MIBR squad added Yanko on the team, it's highly thought of that Fallen, the player, you guys may not know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, just sit back and enjoy. Yeah, as Fallen's a kind of uncoachable player. If you've got a lot of experience behind yourself and someone's trying to tell you what to do, it may be difficult to get around your head. So if Revan was to go to another team, for example, what do you think the improvement would be there? Out of all the teams that he could possibly join here, is there one that you think, oh, well, you know, maybe he can improve that squad in terms of their coaching? Because a guy like Enigma Sig, you know, we really have no idea how good Sender is as a coach, but we do know that he has prior experience playing with the likes of Diabolic, especially on this squad, and of course Chino as well, back in the past in Black Ops 3, and even before that. So yes, he has experience on the team. Doesn't mean he's a good coach, but does it just mean he provides good vibes? Is that enough? Is it also enough to say that if you were to replace Revan, you know, for Sender or something like that, that it would be an upgrade? You definitely cannot make that claim by any means. So it's a difficult one to say. Of course, we are still in the early stages of the Pro League teams really investing in coaches. So I guess maybe we'll see this more down the line, but I thought it was an interesting question to bring up now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. And yeah, hopefully I didn't miss anything big. Thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next time.
What?
Everyone is sleeping. Shut up.